Hey guys, welcome back to Trek on the Tube, and welcome back to yet another Star Trek Discovery review. A review that, granted, might be a little different from usual, not in style or format. I'm still going to do the same thing as usual. I'm still first going to talk about my thoughts and opinions, and then go over the Easter eggs I could find, but this time, instead of talking about just one episode, I'm going to be talking about two. The reason for that being, it's a two-part episode. Now I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I do this for the first two episodes of Season 1, for example? Well, those two episodes, even if they follow each other directly, and even if they kind of felt like their own self-contained story within the first season, have two different titles. The Vulcan Hello, Battle at the Binary Stars. That to me indicates that both episodes, no matter how connected they are still meant to be two separate stories. Such Sweet Sorrow, on the other hand, is the title of both episodes, which means it's one story. But that was split into two parts to better respect the format required by television. That's the nuance. Sure, some of you are probably gonna scream semantics, but at the end of the day, that's my interpretation, and this is how I feel comfortable doing my reviews. Emissary, the Deep Space Nine two-part premiere, for example, I would only make one video for, whereas, I don't know, Favor the Bold and Sacrifice of Angels, even if they technically are connected, I would make two. Alright, okay, there you go. The explanation is over. I'm sorry it took so much time, but I mean, come on. Cut me some slack. I haven't been on a tangent like this in a while. So, Such Sweet Sorrow, the ending to Discovery Season 2, the ending to the whole Red Angel plotline, to the Control story, the ending to Admiral Cornwell. Episodes 13 and 14, what did I think of them? Well, first of all, Part 2 works a lot better than Part 1. Granted, the first part is all set up for the big finale, so that does justify a slower pace, a building of tension, if you will, but a lot of what's going on feels forced and overdramatic. Part 2, on the other hand, is all action. It's like the third act of a superhero movie. It's dynamic, it's exciting, it has unexpected surprises, and yet it also finds the time to give us, hands down, one of the best spatial temporal anomaly visuals of all Star Trek, if not the best. Alright, overall, if you really think about it, the time travel doesn't really work, and that's a source of great frustration for me. I absolutely despise the use of time travel in movies or TV series because it puts me in a position where I have to turn off my brain in order to appreciate what's going on. Sometimes it works better than others. I'm talking Avengers Endgame or the Back to the Future trilogy, but that's not because the time travel itself is well written. It's more because the stories aren't hard science fiction. It's either comedy or just basic entertainment. When it's not supposed to be taken seriously, fine, I can work with it. But Star Trek takes itself seriously, or at least it takes its science fiction seriously. Discovery just as much as the other iterations, so it's kind of hard to get over the time loop paradox and the many issues that the time travel plot brought with it. That being said, considering this is not a season review, this is simply an episode review, I think the finale worked. The finale did a good job at interconnecting all of these characters and plots and different places that we've seen throughout the season, and it was quite entertaining. I liked it. Okay, time to get serious. Putting the time travel aside, I do have some other major issues and also smaller details that bug me, but as I said, I still did like the episode, generally speaking. One of the biggest problems I had was the USS Enterprise visual redesign, be it the bridge or the corridors, the turbolift, anything. I just didn't like seeing everything looking so distant from the original series. I understand why it was done, I'm not stupid, but I just disagree entirely. I know I'm repeating myself, but for me, the aesthetics are just as much a part of the story as everything else. And I truly believe that something can be done to update visuals from the 60s without necessarily changing them. That being said though, the visual effects and the quality of the sets are breathtaking, even if I don't agree with the creative liberties that were taken. The docking sequence was great, this planet looks fantastic, maybe a little more fake looking than the rest, but still very visually appealing. All of these shuttles and fighter ships looked absolutely fantastic, even if I feel obligated to say I don't know where the hell they came from and why the Enterprise never used them again. There were just too many and it ends up not really making any sense. Anyway, the battle itself was pretty exhilarating and very well directed. You really did get a sense of panic and urgency throughout. Even the Saru camera spin was well executed for once. And I love the split screen, that was great. The D7 bridge wasn't exactly configured in a way that we've seen before, but it still did feel very Klingon, and the random sparks and surprise fires, they were very, very Star Trek, and so was the whole dry dock sequence right at the end. Much like the rest of Discovery, these two episodes deliver high quality visuals, but, in an aesthetic that I don't necessarily agree with. Circling back to the details I was talking about, they go from plot holes to to cringy dialogue. It's established Burnham can only do one jump with the crystal they have, but then she ends up sending, I don't know, 6 or 7 signals by jumping 6 or 7 times, and then they do a final jump with the ship, I don't know, so that doesn't work. When they try to destroy the USS Discovery, it raises its shields in self-defense. Nevertheless, a few minutes later, they still managed to beam aboard. Did the ship end up just lowering its shields, and if so, why? Speaking of shields, at one point it's indicated that they're holding at 86 or 82%, and yet there are hull breaches and casualties, deaths even. That doesn't make sense. If the shields are at 80%, then the ship should still be protected. How exactly are they able to detect the red signal from 51,000 light years away? Voyager was stranded at 70,000 and no one was able to find them. It does feel a bit far-fetched. Tilly. Why did Tilly have to close her eyes to do the repairs? Oh, because she only did it once before, drunk and blindfolded. Who exactly are they trying to appeal to here with these puerile moments? The joke is not funny, the situation adds no tension, it's not good character development, it negatively affects the pacing. I'm confused. Carrying on, number 1 is constantly doing everything with her pad. Remember a few episodes back I complimented the show for integrating the very original series looking prop, and I'm still happy it's featured, but no pad in the history of Star Trek was ever intended to hack open a door or disable a torpedo. It's not the right tool, that's not its function. Anyway, then there's those certain lines of dialogue or weird character interactions. First of all, why does everyone have to have so much sass? Everyone has an attitude on this show. Everyone has a comeback line for every situation. Reno answers back to Saru, so does the Doctor, etc., etc. It's heavy. So heavy, in fact, it made me lose a little respect for number 1. She went from being cool to real annoying in that final interrogation scene. Oh, and then there's Nan saying yum yum. It's so out of place and vulgar. I don't know, it was unnecessary. There still were a lot of good moments with the dialogue, though. The moment where Pike and Cornwell tell Georgiou that was a bad idea, it has me smiling every time. On a more storytelling side of things, I feel like some of the character moments worked while others didn't. For example, it wasn't necessary to have Amanda and Sarek say goodbye to Burnham, but considering Sarek asked for forgiveness from his wife and Burnham while Spock is not too far away, it makes the scene quite interesting. The fact he never asked for Spock's forgiveness, the fact he never admitted to him the mistakes he made, adds yet another reason to the distance in their relationship. Burnham's thing with Tyler, however, ends with an over-the-top dramatic kiss, and that didn't resonate with me at all. Ultimately, I never truly felt the chemistry between the two, even if they are good actors. Oh, and I don't know how I feel about the Kelpians turning up with Baul technology. At this point, Burnham, Pike, and Saru are directly responsible for the hostile takeover of an entire species and their technology. Righteousness is in the eye of the beholder? Look, I don't know how to explain this, because looking back at this review it feels like I mostly have complaints, but I truly did like the way the season ended. Yes, the time travel frustrates me. Yes, there are all those details I dislike, but the episode correctly fulfills the task of ending the multiple plot lines the season set up, course correcting quite a few things about the Spore Drive's existence, the holographic technology, and it sets up Season 3 in an intriguing fashion. Also, I was thoroughly entertained. Actually, you know what? Let's finish on a high note. I said before that the final episode featured one of the best spatial temporal anomaly visuals of all of Star Trek, and I fully stand by that statement. This whole sequence is just mesmerizing. These are some seriously hardcore science fiction visuals, Interstellar, The Expanse, High Life kind of stuff. It was amazing and truly a highlight of the season. Alright, there you go. Such Sweet Sorrow makes little sense, finds many ways to frustrate me, but provides a fun, entertaining end of season and a spectacular visual depiction of time travel. And now we move on to the Easter eggs and references both these episodes contain. This section I will do one episode at a time for clarity. Part 1. The USS Enterprise. That's probably the biggest Easter egg of them all, if it even counts. I mean, it's been quite present this season. It's almost standard at this point. So even though the bridge, the corridors, the turbolifts, the briefing room have been heavily updated, there are many similarities that can be noted, from the strange activation handles in the turbolifts to the red color everywhere, and of course the famous instrument Spock looks into. Helm also has this thingy sticking out. I don't know what it's called, but it's there, you know it is. There's also plenty of colored big bulky buttons all around, just like on the original bridge, which are definitely the most authentic things present, considering they were actually special ordered from the official original series Star Trek tour in Ticonderoga. Great place, by the way, strongly recommend it. We carry on with a technology-based Easter egg. Pike and Saru activate the self-destruct sequence using palm prints. This has been seen before in The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. We get an Albert Einstein reference with the mention of E=mc², and finally the episode features the arrival of Queen Poe, a character that originated in Star Trek short treks. Part 2, and I'll be doing these in no particular order because these Easter eggs are kind of all over the place. Actually, I could try and do everything visual first and then talk about, everything dialogue related. Okay, visuals first. The USS Enterprise during the battle fires blue phasers, just like, in the original series. We get a shot of the USS Discovery going through a wormhole, and the effect used looks a lot like the one we see in the motion picture. We get a shot of Starfleet headquarters near the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. We've already seen this shot before quite often in Star Trek at this point, but it would seem that the cityscape changes each time. Georgiou destroys Control in a glass box used for the spore drive, and I don't know if this was done on purpose, but it's very reminiscent of the agony booths used in her universe, the Mirror universe. Moving on to the spoken Easter eggs, the Klingons speak the words, "Today is a good day to die," something the Klingons have been saying ever since The Next Generation. Spock cites Starfleet Regulation 157 Section 3, which has actually already been invoked during another time travel incident in Deep Space Nine. Spock also quotes Neil deGrasse Tyson at one point when he says, "The universe is under no obligation to make sense to me." Of course, the original quote is "to you," but you get the point. These aren't exactly Easter eggs, but I still want to talk about them. Alright, so at one point an undetonated torpedo lodges itself in one of the ships. We've seen this before in Deep Space Nine, and Spock finally shows up, clean-shaven, in his Blue Science Division uniform. In other words, we get a good look at quote-unquote the actual Spock. That's about it. But no, it's not. I saved two very important Easter eggs for the end. Because, they're symbolic, they mean something. The end credits feature a variant to the Discovery theme on which a choir has been added. This is clearly an homage to the original series and its theme. Also, the very last shot of the entire season is the camera panning out and away from the glass bubble bridge of Pike's Enterprise. This is very simply a reverse of the iconic opening to the original pilot episode, The Cage, and I think it was a very beautiful way to end Pike's modern day arc, even if I would have personally kept it simple and removed the camera spin. There you go, my first double episode review. I hope you enjoyed it. What did you think of Star Trek Discovery Season 2? Are you excited for Discovery Season 3? Are you maybe more excited about Star Trek Picard? Oh my god, I can't wait. Tell me in the comment section below. Remember to like, share the video, and as usual, live long and prosper.